but you wouldn't see him posting up Tracy McGrady like he did Jeff Hornacek.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Speak On It. Now, I've been kind of going through it with this whole LeBron James versus Jordan.
Right.
It seems like folks are always hitting me up and saying I need to cut it out. I got a call yesterday from an OG talking about, man, you need to chill out with the LeBron-ish. And mind you, I'm not here to bash Jordan. I mean, I have Air Jordan shoes. He was one of my favorite players growing up,
Yeah.
So, Courtney.
Yeah.
LeBron or Jordan? And if you choose Jordan, why?
You know I'm gonna choose Jordan. It's not even a question. And this is no disrespect to LeBron because I like LeBron.
Yeah.
I'm not like most people who just say LeBron doesn't have this, LeBron has. Listen, LeBron checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
He checks all the boxes. He checks all the boxes for me.
Yeah.
But I grew up in an era, and I grew up in an era where you had Jordan, you had the Celtics, you had Magic, you had Detroit with Isaiah and the Pistons, you had Barkley with the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
I just love Michael Jordan. I like Michael Jordan. I like the way he played above the rim. He was just all world. And 6-0 in the finals. I know people say, 6-0 in the finals. They always try to say, well, he didn't play anybody. I'm like, listen, man, you in the NBA, you make it to the NBA finals, you play people. You can't listen. Here's the thing. Is that whenever you stepped on the court, I know you can say this for LeBron too, but whenever you step on the court, night in and night out, you know what you were getting with Michael Jordan. You know that every night, if he suited up, you had the best player. I don't care who was on the opposite side. Your guy was the guy. It did not matter if Magic Johnson or Larry Bird or none of them boys was on there. Now, of course, when Jordan came in here, of course, everybody that comes into the league, almost with the exception of Magic came in and won right away. That's the exception.
Yeah.
But Jordan had to take his lumps. But even when he took his lumps, I mean, he was still dominating. Most times he didn't have the best team, but he still put up the numbers. When he got a team, that's when it turned around for him. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the later half of Jordan's career was better than the first half of his career, right? He had 2 3-peats. The first 3 to me were easy. Once he got that first one in 91 against the Lakers, the other 2 were easy. Mm-hmm. Like, it was easy. These last 3, especially coming off the way when he came back and he lost to Penny because Penny and Shaq were coming right then. Yeah. That was humiliating for him. But the last 3 years of his career, he was a straight up dog. Like there was no comparison. Yeah. No, he wasn't as above the rim as he was before. But that fadeaway, he mastered that thing.
Oh yeah,
he mastered that fadeaway.
Yeah,
and so for me, for me, man, I know people say LeBron. You it's a debate, and we can, you got people that say LeBron is the GOAT. He played longer. Of course, you can give him that. He's the all-time leading scorer. You can give him that, right? And I'm not knocking that.
Yeah.
LeBron is playing at a high level. Like, Jordan wasn't playing at a high level at the end of his career. I can admit that as a Jordan fan. He went and played with the Wizards. Come on, man. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
LeBron has been LeBron has been great his entire career, not taken away. But in the era that I grew up in, Michael Jordan to me is that guy, right? And I'm like, listen, rings matter, and LeBron has rings, but I feel like in the finals when it was Jordan in the finals when his team needed it most, Jordan came through. You got the flu game. even the story around that is crazy.
Allegedly. That's.
But I mean,
I know.
He came out there in the flu game and dropped that point. Of course, game 6 in '98 against the Jazz. And so for me, Jordan has established himself as that GOAT for me. Again, LeBron is still playing. He's still adding to his legacy. Again, he's a great player. He is a generational talent.
Yeah.
But to me, he is not the GOAT. We could go back and forth, again, LeBron checked the boxes. I'll put LeBron in the top 5, maybe top 3, but I'm not giving him that one spot. And that's no disrespect to him.
I mean,
he's great.
Yeah. I mean, I get that all the time. I think there's only a couple of people who actually agree with me with the whole LeBron debate. And it's funny because everybody who believes that Jordan is the GOAT, we all came from the same era, right?
Correct.
The 80s and the 90s, right?
Right.
The reason that I found myself on LeBron's side, I just found myself defending him a lot,
Right.
And I understand the whole 6-0 in the finals, and I understand stepping up when your team matters. But we do have to realize that it is different in this era, right? I don't think we'll ever see another team three-peat.
Mm-mm.
And that's not because the talent isn't there. It's just that the politics of the game, right?
Correct.
When you have 2 players that are on a supermax contract, you might get 3 good years out of them.
Yeah.
Or you might get lucky and draft well, like the Warriors. But let's be honest, if the Warriors had kept KD, I don't think Clay would have been there because it was unsustainable. You couldn't have all these players with these big contracts. Even Draymond Green had a $175 million contract.
Yeah, somebody was going to go. Somebody was going to have to leave.
Somebody was going to go. Versus like in the 80s and 90s, you typically stayed with your team the whole run, unless you had like an attitude problem, you had an issue with the coach. Of course, we saw superstars move around, like your Charles Barkley's. He moved around a little bit. Dennis Rodman, of course, but those were very few times that we did see any kind of realignment in the league, right? And so, of course, I've said some things. I've been on some rants, but of course, I still stand by what I say. And I think competition matters. A lot of people, they don't believe that Bill Russell is the GOAT, even though he has 11 rings, right? They rarely have him in the conversation these days. Now pre-1995, of course, you had Wilt, you had Russell, and really the GOAT conversation to me didn't really pick up until Wilt died.
Yeah,
because I think he was still that staple in the NBA, in the basketball community, where this larger than life figure. How dare you say Michael Jordan is better than me and I'm still living? Of course, once he died, then that whole GOAT, of course, you had Kobe thrown into the mix, and now we have LeBron. The reason why I kind of criticize Jordan is that he didn't have to play in an era where there's 24/7 access to you, right? And also, if you look at Jordan's peers, right, you look at your Charles Barkley's, I guess you can call Shaquille O'Neal his peer, right? You look at all these guys, your Magic Johnsons, right? They're great players, top 10 players, right? But it's a mystique behind Jordan because you know what? He doesn't get many interviews. You don't see him on social media going back and forth like LeBron does. Like if you had a Twitter account and you had Jordan and you had LeBron that you were following, more than likely, if you hit up each of those players 100 times, LeBron would probably respond before Jordan would.
Right.
So the media was different. Of course, there was less scrutiny. I mean, we really don't know the in-depth reason why Jordan quit in 93, 94 season. I mean, of course, they say, well, it's because his dad died and his dad wanted him to play baseball. He played baseball. He quit on the Barons too. Came back. Of course, it was only for 19-win season. He did well. And I don't knock that against him losing to the Penny Hardaway and Shaquille O'Neal.
No, not at all.
Now the 96 to 98, he was doing his thing, but I think that he got the hell up out the game at the right time because those younger perimeter players, they were coming in. You know, your Iversons, your Grant Hills, your Kobe Bryant, your Tracy McGrady's, and I think Jordan's style of play. I'm not sure if he could have been that defender that we always saw him, or could he have dominated those players? Now he would have got his buckets, but you wouldn't see him posting up Tracy McGrady like he did Jeff Hornacek.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But I mean, but again, like, you know, I'm not the one to say that Jordan faced nothing but plumbers and carpenters and.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Well, actually, Starks was a bagger. You know, shout out to the bagger.
Listen,
you know, he was.
Listen. You can't. Okay, listen. You can't help who you play against, right? But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The game has changed, meaning that calls now the game really took off when they said you couldn't hand check no more, right? When they said no hand checking, these boys took off. But the style of defense they played back then, like you had to be mentally tough. You got to be mentally tough now in the NBA to play. I'm not saying that you don't, but back then, you know, you had to be mentally tough. Now, you listen, Jordan can't help that he went against Karl Malone and John Stockton in their own right. They're considered.
I mean, you're right, and I think that people don't give John Stockton and Karl Malone a lot of credit because that was a good Utah team.
That was a tough-minded, rugged Utah team. But this is what I'm saying when it comes to Jordan is the GOAT. Listen, he played. Listen,
I'm listening.
Listen. 98, that last final, Scottie Pippen was on. Scottie Pippen didn't have nothing. He had nothing. Scottie Pippen did not have nothing left. Nobody. I mean, the only other person in double digits that game, I think, was Tony Kukoc, and he had like 11.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody gave Chicago nothing that last game. Steve Kerr hit some timely buckets. Yeah. Pippen hit a couple timely shots, but single-handedly, Jordan snatched that game away from Utah. Utah was supposed to win that game. They were supposed to win that game. And I'm not even saying Jordan had a great shooting game because he took like almost 30 shots and he hit like 15 or 16 shots, but he got to the free throw line consistently, which helped, keep him in a type of rhythm. Yeah. And he just paced himself throughout the game. Listen, man, we listen. Here's the thing: we never go to agree on this.
Oh,
right?
I mean, we never go to agree. Like I'm gonna give you your credit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Go ahead. Keep cooking. Yeah.
We never go to agree on this. Like we're not even gonna be close to agreeing. Okay, yeah. But I'm not like other people who just straight up say LeBron can't be the GOAT. He has a strong case to be the GOAT.
Yeah.
He has it. Again, he checks all the boxes. But for me, not because of what Jordan did on the court, right? I'll give LeBron this. Mm-hmm. Speaking out on issues, LeBron head and shoulders above Michael Jordan. And I found myself defending LeBron on stuff with people because you can say what you want to say about the man, but what you can't say is the man is not aware of what's going on in the world today. The players then, if they spoke out about that, just think if Michael Jordan would have spoke out about any type of racist issues, and I'm not giving him a pass. I'm not giving him a pass. He would have never ascended to the heights he ascended to.
Because it's actually been documented that him and Magic, they remained silent on the Rodney King issue.
Correct. Correct.
And I think at the time he would have gotten scrutinized more, again, if we had 24-hour social media.
Right.
Because people would have been looking, okay, let's see what's on Jordan's timeline about Rodney King. And if he posted some nonsense, they would have flamed him. They would have cooked him. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely came out at a time where, of course, cable news was taking off, cable TV in general, but he didn't have that 24-hour scrutiny. of the Twitter and the Facebooks.
Right. The beautiful thing about LeBron is that LeBron's a billionaire. So he can say what he want to say, right? He can put out something to speak on Trayvon Martin. He can put out something to speak on January 6th and all that. And they mad. They can't touch him. So what they gotta do? They gotta try to discredit him. But you can't, because his work and his words speak for himself. Yeah. And so you're gonna always have people who will not, you can't please everybody.
Of course.
But now what you cannot say is that LeBron isn't one of the top 3 basketball players in the world.
Yeah.
I'll even put him at 2. I just can't put him at 1.
Oh yeah,
I can't do it. But I would be hating if I said, "Oh, he's top 10. He's number 10." No, when LeBron retires, he's gonna be. Some people gonna put in 1, and again, that's great. Yeah. Here's the thing. I have no argument if you tell me right now, well, you said LeBron to go. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here and say you're wrong.
Yeah,
because you made some valid points as to why you think he's the GOAT, and I respect that. And again, I like LeBron. It's not like I'm up here saying he trash. I can't stand him. The only knock I've had on LeBron sometimes in his career is that he does whine a little bit too much for me. That's like the only knock I've had. Right? I'm like, bro, you 6'8", 6'9", 2. I'm not saying you don't get hit. I am not saying that, because you get, bro, take the ball to the hole the next time and bang on somebody's face. Like you that dude. Like again, that's my only knock. And I wouldn't even say it's a knock. I just wish, and he doesn't really do it now. That was early on in his career. He did that. I'd be like, come on, man. He would get swiped, and it'd be a little swipe, and this dude, come on, bro.
So I think he had to do that because, I mean, now this might sound like I'm defending him, right? You look at Shaq, right? We know Shaq was a poor free throw shooter.
Right.
Shaq was getting, so back to the Bulls, right? I'm gonna go ahead and spin the block real quick.
Mm-hmm.
People will argue and say that Rodman shut down Shaq, which we know that's false, right? Because if he did shut down Shaq, every time the Bulls played the Lakers or played the Orlando Magic, Shaq would have been his assignment, which Shaq was never his number 1 assignment, right? When people saw Shaq post up your Dennis Rodmans, your Dikembe Mutombos, right?
Mm.
They don't realize that Shaq was getting fouled. Like, you can't, like, when he's trying to back up to the goal, it was a lot of excessive fouls. And of course, he wasn't getting called, and he probably was happy that they weren't calling fouls because he couldn't shoot free throws, right?
Right.
I think LeBron, he understood that he was much bigger than the rest of the perimeter players. And he felt like, well, damn, I'm not getting the calls. Let me go ahead and try to sell the call. Hence the flopping, right? You don't see it now because players are getting fined for it.
Correct.
So he probably was like, well, I have this physical advantage. I need to let these refs know that these guys are fouling. And so that's when he started, doing all the whining and stuff like that. Now, we can't say that Jordan didn't whine. Hell, Jordan is on record. We have video footage of him whining to the refs. We have video footage of him headbutting the refs. We have video footage of him talking to the ref actually changing the call. So I think most superstars, they do expect that privilege, right?
Yeah.
The main reason that I have and I don't have a problem with Jordan. I sometimes have a problem with the fans, and this kind of goes along the lines of the Steeler fans and the Alabama fans. Like they would, like, the fans will make you hate a certain team or individual, right? Yep. And I don't hate Jordan, but I will say that when they do bring up the whole LeBron being 4 and 6 in the finals, cool. I understand that. That's cool if you want to get down into the weeds and try to nitpick, right? But competition is everything. And like I said before, playing TCU in a national title game is much different than playing Georgia or Alabama. So when you look at Jordan, who Jordan faced, the Trailblazers, right? He faced the Lakers, which the Lakers, they weren't the Showtime Lakers anymore. Worthy was hurt some of the series. So was Sam Perkins. Magic had, the HIV. Sorry. So and there was no Pat Riley. So but they still beat a very good Lakers team. Now you have LeBron. LeBron did take out. He beat 2 of the top 10 dynasties. That's why sometimes I have to defend him as far as the competition in the finals. And that Dallas loss, it was bad, and I've admitted that every time. But we can't forget that Dallas swept Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, who were the defending champions, right? They also beat KD, Harden, and Westbrook. But going 6-0 in the 90s, 2 3-peats, that's phenomenal. And I think that's why sometimes we rank those 6 rings over 11 rings that Bill Russell had. But I would argue LeBron having 4 rings in the modern era, like, why is it that we understand that the talent in the 60s wasn't as good as the talent in the 90s? But when it comes to the 2020s versus the 90s, we want to say that the talent hasn't progressed or it hasn't evolved, and that's like my spiel. But of course, I don't have a problem with Jordan. I more so have a problem with their fans, with his fans, I should say, and Bulls fans too.
Well, listen, I'm a Bulls fan, and so if we can only reminisce that's basically what Bull fans do. We reminisce about the good old days because it hasn't been nothing to cheer about lately. But again, man, we can have these discussions and they're great discussions. But to me, it doesn't diminish either player, right? Jordan was great in his own right. LeBron's definitely great in his own right. He's still playing the game at a high level, and so he's still competing for championships. So I mean, you're not taking away from either player. Both in their eras, Jordan 80s, 90s dominated. LeBron, when he came on the scene in 03, 05 until now, has consistently dominated. And so you can't take either thing. Both are champions, both are all-stars, both are Olympians. So you can't take nothing from either way. And so if you're gonna have a knock again on LeBron, which isn't really a knock, you could say he's 4-6 in the finals, but I mean, a couple of bounces here or there, he could be 6-4, he could be 4-2. You get into all of that. I just think that some people, man, they have a disdain for Jordan and they have a disdain for LeBron. And so they not go, no matter what you put in front of them, they're gonna be like, man, whatever. But see, if you are a realist and you've watched basketball and you understand, then if somebody says LeBron is the GOAT, that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not gonna say he's not the GOAT.
It's gonna say, but it's gonna sound crazy to folks who love 90s basketball. Because I to be honest, I'd be offended. I'd be offended. LeBron, man, LeBron to go, and but go ahead, sir.
No, I was just gonna say, as long as I got a friend of mine, and I wish he would watch this show. As long as you're not comparing them to Reggie Miller, we're good.
And that's the thing too. I wanted to speak on this as well. I think in the last 10 years, folks have enhanced Reggie Miller's stature amongst the greats. And the reason why is because he played in the 90s. He was a formidable opponent to Jordan. But I had an argument with somebody, and I was saying that I think that Klay Thompson is a better player than Reggie Miller. These guys, they were upset with me, and I'm like, Klay Thompson played both sides. He could play defense and offense. Reggie Miller has Reggie Miller ever won a All NBA defensive team?
No,
I don't think so. Exactly.
No.
Yeah. Reggie Miller benefited off Jordan's greatness.
See, and so see when I say this to people, because I said the exact same thing. I said Klay Thompson. Okay, you could put Klay Thompson in the 90s and he would ball out. Why? Because he could play defense and he could shoot. Reggie Miller just shot the ball. Klay got 4 rings, playing beside Steph Curry, arguably the greatest shooter ever in the history of the league.
Yeah.
If you put Klay Thompson in 1990s basketball, my argument is he would be if you put Klay Thompson on the Pacers without Reggie Miller, I'm telling you, Klay Thompson would thrive. If you put Klay Thompson, say if you put him in the 90s, not just with the Pacers or any team, he played both sides of the ball. The 90s was more about defense than it is now. Yeah. He could shoot the ball. He could he puts the ball on the floor. He could drive, and he could play defense. And you trying to tell me that Reggie Miller is better than Klay Thompson? To me, you may see. I don't know. You may think different, but I don't think Reggie Miller was a top 75 greatest player of all time.
No. And the only reason why he's on the list is because he retired. You know what I'm saying? He retired, and the list is basically giving props to the older players. You know what I'm saying? And with that list, you can't even I can't say, oh, let me take Reggie Miller off, put Klay on. They won't allow you to do that.
They won't do that.
And like I said, a lot of players in the 90s, they benefited from being in the same era as Jordan. And Reggie Miller is one of the biggest examples.
You know, I just don't understand, and that's no knock on him. I didn't play in the league, so I can't say he was sorry. He was a good player, but to me, to say that he's one of the top 75 greatest players of all time is a stretch to me. It's a stretch. I don't see that. Like you said, he never won. He was an all-star, but he never won. He was never known for defense. Jordan played both sides of the ball. LeBron, both sides of the ball. Kobe, both sides of the ball. Klay Thompson, both sides of the ball. Grant Hill, both sides of the ball. Penny Hardaway, both sides of the ball. Allen, like stop playing like this. I have a morning trying to deconstruct Jordan's greatness every day. He'll send me memes. He's in chats, circling comments people say, and I'm like, you do realize that this doesn't change anything. Like he still has 6 rings.
Yeah.
He's still one of the 50 greatest players. He's still one of the 75 greatest players. He's still one of the world's most recognizable players. I was like, all Reggie Miller has, no knock, is a Wendy's commercial. Yeah, so why are we even talking about Jordan and Reggie Miller in the same breath? It's no comparison. No disrespect to Reggie Miller. No disrespect. He had some great games in the league. But to sit here and try to knock Michael Jordan's career to boost up Reggie Miller's career is idiotic.
It's idiotic, and the thing too is they believe that Jordan, and I'm not trying to before I say this, I'm not trying to diss Jordan, right? They believe that Jordan stopped all these players from winning rings, right? And I called them out on that because you look at all the players who played in the 90s and who they try to boast up, your Reggie Millers, your Karl Malones, your Stocktons. There was at least a 7 to 10 year period where Jordan wasn't even in the league and these cats were in the league and they could have won. Right. There was 7 to 10 years where Jordan wasn't winning championships and all these players had a chance to win a championship and they didn't. Even when Jordan left, right? What was Reggie Miller at in 98 or 99 season? He wasn't in contention for a championship. 2000, when did he retire? 2003 or 4?
I'm not sure, but he went to the finals They went to the finals one year where they played Shaq and Kobe, but they got ate up.
Yeah, but he had opportunities, so he can't say that Jordan stopped me from getting the ring. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I just believe that these 90s players who are in the analyst role these days, they benefited from playing alongside Jordan in the 90s because the 90s is like a mythical time period in basketball to some. Man, yeah, we can have this debate or we can have this conversation like for hours, man. But but at the end of the day, Reggie Miller, shit, I don't even know if he should be in the Hall of Fame, man. But again, he benefited from playing against Jordan.
Listen, man, and people, again, I'm not knocking Reggie Miller. To play in the NBA when you got alphas like Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, those type of players, you can't be afraid of them. And he wasn't afraid. I'm not saying he wasn't a good basketball player. All I'm saying is, a friend of mine is trying to knock Jordan down a couple of pegs to lift up Miller. You can't lift up Miller because he was a great player, Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. Like he's not that type of player.
Reggie Miller was great on the Pacers. No, I'm not gonna say that. Reggie Miller was great, but he's not a top 75 player. There
no, he's not.
The Rocket City Network. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we are out. Yeah.